So from being really little, probably about 1, my dad joined the army. So obviously we moved around quite a lot. So we moved to Gibraltar first, spent a couple of years in Gibraltar. I don't really remember much of Gibraltar, but I always seem to remember going up on the rocks and seeing the apes, but that must be from photos, because I clearly can't remember something like that from 2-year-old. My brother was born in Gibraltar. From there we moved to Catterick, spent a couple of years in Catterick, and where my sister was born. Then we moved into Germany, spent about 5 years in Germany, and then moved to Southampton. Once we moved to Southampton, my dad served in the Iraq War. He'd also served in the Falklands War previously, and he'd done a stint in Ireland when all the IRA bombings were going on, which was obviously quite terrifying for him. While we were in Southampton, Mum got pregnant with her 4th child. By this time, she sort of like put her foot down, and Dad had to leave the army. So off we trekked back up to Bradford. Moved into Bradford.
What's your relationship like with your dad?
My dad would never home as much when I were a kid. So it was always mum around. Never saw dad, even if he went away serving his duty in Iraq or wherever, Afghan, he was, it was always my mum. So dad just came home, had his tea, and basically went to bed because he worked long hours, so I didn't really see much of my dad. So get on with my dad, but we haven't got that father-daughter bond.
I don't know what else to say.
What else did you ask me? How did it affect you growing up, did you say?
Yeah.
So how did it affect the family?
So how did it affect the family growing up?
So I think it was really hard on my mum, being a army's wife. She basically brought up 4 children all by herself, single-handedly, because he was never there. And like I say, when he was there, he'd basically come home, be having his tea and going to bed. He'd either start early or work late. As well as doing that, mum held down a job as well, worked part-time, sometimes in the NAFE, which is the army's supermarket. Worked in the club, serving the beer in the mess and stuff, and so I think it was really hard on my mum. I think she had postnatal depression. No, not really a bonding mum. She's not a maternal type.
How do you think it affected your mum and dad's relationship?
Mum and dad have got a weird relationship. They get on, but I wouldn't say they're madly in love with each other, but they just put up with each other because they've been together so long.
How was it growing up in different countries?
I love growing up in different countries. It was really hard. Obviously meeting new friends. You get settled somewhere and you get your friends, and then you're up and off. You didn't get much notice. You just packed your bags and you were off. But the adventure was good. I remember when we got to Germany, we'd got off the flight and we got put into this army Land Rover. Bearing in mind I was only about 7, so it was amazing. It was pitch black at night. And we got to our new house. So it wasn't a house, it was a masonette, so it were only 3 floors. We lived on middle floor, and we had to sit in the kitchen. Would have been the kitchen. There was no furniture there, and we sat on the floor eating fish and chips out of the wrappers. And that's one of my first memories of Germany, going there and doing that.
What else did I ask?
Can't remember.
I can't remember what else.
I think that was mainly it, wasn't it?
Yeah. But we need to speak about something else so I can get pictures in. Don't know. Get the photos now. Come behind your shoulder.
I'll just talk through them.
Yeah.
So this is me when Dad was probably just going into army, because I was only young when he joined up. So that must have been in Catterick, I'm thinking, maybe. Or maybe Gibraltar, how young I am there. That's sort of like a flat. I don't think we lived in a flat then though, so it might be Catterick. That's typical army sort of houses, how the white looks like an estate. Quite overgrown at front. Obviously quite happy running around there. Obviously I have different friends in photos all the time because you're moving about, so you have different friends. I'm getting used to different neighbours as well, but all the families were always really good. You could nip round to... Your neighbours were always your auntie. Always auntie and uncle were your neighbours. I was a happy child. It didn't obviously affect me. That was us on a visit back home to Bradford, at my nan's doorstep, which my nan were really good even when we lived in Germany. She used to get flights over and come and stay with us for weeks on end. When we lived in Southampton, my dad used to drive up, pick her up and drive back down. She used to come and stay with us for a few weeks. She's been to Gibraltar, she's been to Catterick. Proper grandma, super. Come everywhere to see us.
I remember one that I should ask. So let me go back. How do you think it's affected your dad now? How he is now?
My dad's right reserved, very quiet bloke. Don't really talk about his time in the army, and I think that's just because of the stuff he's seen. I think he finds it quite hard. I have noticed lately, as I'm getting older, and he's getting older, he's talking about stuff a bit more, and he does get emotional about it, and he does try to talk about it, but also change the subject as quick as he can. I think he's seen some pretty awful stuff in his time, and it must be hard for them to deal with and live with things like that, not be able to come home and talk to the family about it.
Do you know any of the bad things that he has seen?
When he went to Iraq, one of his very close friends, he actually lived on the same street as us, our friends with a daughter. He actually died out there in Iraq. And I think that's actually when it hit home to me how serious my dad's job actually was. To me, it was just a job. I didn't know what he did.
So what were his position in the army?
So he started off as a corporal. He trained and was a medic, and before he left he was a sergeant. So worked his ways up through the ranks, but I think he preferred his time being a medic. So when they were out in Iraq he was a medic then, and he was helping all the injured people, so obviously he saw a lot of bad things then. That was when it was a Saddam Hussein war fight against him, yeah. Pretty scary.